Sometimes you have to do that because the easy challenge is one you'll get lazy with. The big challenge gets you hungry.
Oh, how the tables turn.
That's a heavy topic, and we need to focus on that. If not for yourself, then do it for your children.
Black book is in
Black
book. Men talk, black book. Good evening, everybody. What is up? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations also. 2018 Innovation Award winner, and then 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers that is sponsored by BLKMEN Care. And partnering with them and our team, we've reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And great news, they asked us to come back with them for another year this year. So that is 4 years in a row, partnering with a global men's brand. And just to add some little spice to that, they only do 1 year agreements. They don't do multi-year agreements. So every year we have to prove ourselves to them. And then, but this year they reached out to us saying we want to do another year. So you're watching Black Men Can Talk, a show where Black Canadian men can come together to have real unfiltered conversations about life, culture, and community. Kofi Sadat, loving the hair, brother. Clean, lean, mean, and cool. Clean, man.
It's springtime. Time for something new.
Is it? With freezing rain? It's springtime.
It'll grow in time. It'll grow in time.
Okay. It doesn't have to. I love the look, man. That is fire.
I'm almost living in your world. Not quite, but I'm almost living in your world.
You don't want to live in my world. You that's a horror show at times. You don't want to live in my world.
There you go.
So how you been? How's family?
Yo, family's good. Family's good. I'm doing well. Very, very good week. I took in a couple of events this week.
Do tell.
Well, last week that I wanted to share about that was really, really good. And I want to hail folks up for, also special shout out. Today is Black Marriage Day. So for all my Black married people, or those who want to be married, or those who were married before, we're all going to celebrate everything. But yeah, I want to hail up, my partner Nicole, for Black Marriage Day, and all of the folks out there, man. It's something to celebrate. So feeling good about that. But like I said, I will share some things this week, that happened. How are you doing?
I am blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, solution for someone's problem, and Blackalicious.
Woo! Always good, bro. That's
and our friend loves that in the green room. He liked that.
Not Black. I don't know what to say, man.
Well, you know what? It's a good segue because many times when I introduce myself to people and I told them I've done over 5,000 online conversations, they go, whoa. And one of the questions they always ask me is, which one of your best ones? Which ones stick out? And most of the time I say, you know what? There are so many, but I had one of those moments yesterday, and it's a good segue on what you mentioned. Ryan Knight, who's the head of ACBN, also runs his own company, Detailing Knight's wireless car cleaning company, that got $150,000 investment from 1-800-JUNK founder Brian Scudamore. Every year he has his event, the ACBN Symposium.
Yes.
Out at Sheridan College, west part of Toronto, Mississauga. Yes. And last year, almost every year he has Dr. George Fraser come and speak. Last year, I had the pleasure of picking Dr. George Fraser up from his hotel downtown Toronto and driving him to Mississauga. Had a 45-minute conversation with him in the car. Had an intern who video recorded, and he sent me the files. But for some reason, there's no audio, and the intern has vanished. And I want those files. So this year, Dr. George came back, and I said, you know what? I'm picking him up, and I need to do a conversation with him where I know it's going to be good. Went out to so this year he was about 20 minutes drive from Sheridan College. So I went to pick him up.
All right.
And I said, Dr. George, and Dr. George Fraser and I met 15 years ago.
Wow.
And that conversation is still on my website, believe it or not. I said,
right.
you know what? Do you have some time? We could just do like a 20 minute conversation. He said, no problem. So Eddie will love this. Tech in real action. Got my iPad Pro.
Yes.
We went to the restaurant and the restaurant was closed, but the guys, they said, hey, do you need this space? I go, yes. Says, I just want to record interview. They cleared it out. Nice. Set up my iPad Pro to make sure it would catch both of us. Had my lavalier mics, because people, if you try to do recordings with your tablet, the built-in microphone, the tablet isn't the greatest to use. It's a last resort. Had plugged in my receiver into my iPad Pro, put on the lapel mics. We had a 35-minute conversation, and a lot of it was about the family and Black marriage. Now, he has been married. He's 81 years old. As he says, he's been married to the same sister for 52 years.
Good Lord.
Right?
That's
and his next book coming out is going to be about the Black family and some scary statistics in America. And he's also done some research in regards to Black marriage in Canada.
All right.
I have the video, and I'm just going to do some editing on it by Tuesday should be done. But next week when we come on the show, I'll show some snippets from it that were quite powerful.
Wonderful.
Quite powerful. So documentation is huge, but it was a epic conversation. So we went, after that, we went to get something to eat. Yeah, we went out. We ate. Yeah, we went, he says, we went to a Denny's, had lunch there. Then he went to the event. And then when we came back home, he bought me dinner.
Hopefully it wasn't Denny's, because
no.
Okay, all right.
No. And he drove here. So he drove from Cleveland.
I love it. Oh, he's out of Cleveland. Oh man,
yes.
Cleveland. I got a lot of my folks in Cleveland.
Yes,
that does a lot of rites of passage work. So,
he mentioned that in his presentation yesterday. He says, I don't know if you have a rites of passage here, but it's a good idea. So I'm going to actually I've had his contact information. I will tell him we had a rites of passage here, and if he needs to know more about it, I will deter him to you.
Oh, wonderful. Well, hey, on Friday, I went to the first inaugural Taloa Black Youth Conference.
Yes.
In Ajax. And I'm telling you, folks, for a first conference, I got to give it up to Ifarada, Nicole Perryman, and the rest of the staff there. Great job. I mean, there was so much young Black people, some speakers some great speakers that I heard there, some nice workshop presentations, but really for the city of Durham. And Brother Kofi, even though he's not here right now, he opened up with the libations, and he's talked about growing up in Durham himself around, at that time, skinheads might have been after them, police were harassing them, but to kind of see everything come full circle, and just to really see a wonderful event to engage Black youth. I was impressed by it 100%. So I want to give some flowers to them. Yeah. Also, of course, our brother Christopher Lawrence, he put on a networking event last week about sponsorship. The name of the sister who was there, I will get that name. I know he'll probably put in the chat.
Right, he'll put it in the chat.
Please put it in the chat. But anybody thinking of doing any kind of events, it was just like mind blowing.
Well, it's interesting. People don't come to me, which is I put it out there. I say 4 years, international brand, and actually there's actually a local brand, Energy Shack, that also has been sponsoring now for 2 years. As I said to our friend who's going to be on in a moment, anytime I have a significant project to do, there's two things that come out of, well, three things. First of all, who does it benefit?
Right.
Second of all, how can I delegate? Because I don't want to do all the work.
Right, of course.
And three, if I want to put as little of my own money into it.
There you go. I like
that. That's my mindset. And actually, I'm working on an opportunity right now. Speaking, it's going to come to fruition. It's going to be the biggest thing I've ever business-wise done. And I've
Nice.
already shown a little bit. It involves dads, by the way.
Mm.
I've given a little peek of it to the first buy-in party, and they say, I was only 5 minutes. Hey, what do you think about this? And I say, wow, this is interesting. Say, would you like to have a further meeting? Say, yeah, let's do a deeper dive in a few weeks. But it involves dads. If it's happened, I'm speaking it's going to happen. It will be, it'll be the biggest event for fathers in this country ever.
Woo! All right.
I'm getting mentorship from my sponsorship guru who said, go big. I guess get the people to put a ring on it.
Love it.
Right. So I want to say in the comments, what is up, Donald Morton? Yes, a great speaker and representative of manhood. Good to see you're watching on LinkedIn, my brother. Frequency of Rep Promotion says greetings. Also says hi, Dr. Vibe, and said actually saw Christopher yesterday at the ACBN event. And then also Frequency of Rep Promotion says the lady's name was Jacqueline Clark.
Oh yeah, Jacqueline Clark. Amazing. Yes. Amazing.
And then Freaking Brent says, hi, Sadat. You were right. Jacqueline brought the house down. It was amazing to have you there. So then I'm supposed to be appearing next week. I don't need to show up.
Listen, we're just up in the ante. We're ready for you, brother. We're ready for you to come through.
But I'm gonna come in deep and hard in regards. I probably really don't need any notes.
All right.
I'm just gonna share from lived experience, and then what people are teaching me, and I'm just following what they have to say. But I put it out there. How many people that look like this gentleman do you know in this country that has had a 4-year relationship with an international brand, which now is past 6 figures?
All right.
All right. Frequency Event says, I'd love to be in on that project. Okay. Well, as it grows, and actually I'm getting a lot of buy-in. I'm actually building up a board of it, an advisory board, everything from fathers and dads to there's a lady who runs a media brokerage. We've met that. She is very interested in assisting in the project because I'm thinking national on this, not local. This is a national thing.
And that's why Black men can talk across Canada.
Thank you.
You're on brand, my brother. You're on brand.
So we're doing our thing. Anything else you want to add before we go to break?
No, not really, but just, excited, of course, to speak to the guest that's coming up.
Our friend, man. It's a friend. It's not a guest.
It's a friend, man. It's a friend, exactly.
He's a friend. He's a friend.
Man. Just continue to, I'm telling folks out there, if you've got some stuff that you want to highlight, we want to keep the engagement up in the show. So please let us know what's good. And we look forward to speaking to a friend.
Thank you. All right. We are going to go to break. And when we come back, we'll have our friend who is a master of many things. But he says, I got too many things going on. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
All right.
Black Men Can Talk, a show where Black Canadian men come together to have real unfiltered conversations about life, culture, and community.
There is that weight that is put on Black men in order to show their worth.
But I think our children are now in a space, in a place where they are doing better. As somebody who works with young people.
And in a lot of cases, a lot of the impact that they've seen happens after they're gone.
All right, another new promo for Black Men Can Talk. Bam, 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 bam. All right, let's get down to it. It's a little bit of housework before we go to the real work. Please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Also, to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I'm a part of, email me, dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. Finally, join the Black Men Talk Discord group, and I have put content in there now. There are some links of some previous conversations. I was hoping that, what's his Black Nerd? What's his gentleman? Black
Nerd?
Yes, he emailed me a few days ago. What's going on with the Discord group? So I didn't want him to come in there, and there's nothing in there. So I put some content in there, and I've emailed him, and he says there's gentlemen in there who want, he says he has a group of gentlemen that want to have that safe embrace space so we can share. I'm going to be after him now because we have started, but I don't want to drive the ship. I want to steer the ship. I want all of us to contribute. Done.
Boom.
Introduce our friend, sir.
All right. So I would like to introduce Eddy, aka Eddy David, aka the original one, and you'll get to hear about that. The original one, Eddy, who is from eCreativ, which is a company that it kind of helps you out with your tech. They help you out with your tech in terms of online or in-person events. This gentleman, this friend, this brother has been doing it for over 20 years.
Wow.
Right? So for those who...
Wow, and he has more hair than me? Wow.
For those who, like you're doing your event and you want it to sound and look...
So he has no stress. He has no stress, man.
This is it. This is a stress-free event.
Okay.
Without further ado, we bring up Eddy from eCreativ.
Bam, 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 bam. What's going on, Eddy?
Good evening. Greetings, everyone. Thank you for
what's up? What's going on?
Bringing me in here. Everything and nothing.
Everything's
you trying to make a nickel out of a dime? What are you doing?
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Paul, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Oh man, I can I'll defer to you and then I'll get into some of my questions.
And what's this friend thing? We family.
Oh, sorry. We are family. Ah, there you go. All right.
I'm like a distant cousin that everybody hasn't met yet. That's all.
There you go. And Frequency Event Promotion says, Eddy, my guy. He's saying, Eddy, my guy. All right.
Chris, big up.
All right, good stuff. First conversation piece.
Mm-hmm.
We read a bit of your, can you share a little bit more of your background?
So I'm born here in Canada, grew up in Trinidad and Tobago. Then my family brought me back to Ottawa, and that's where I grew up most of my life. And then I moved here to Toronto about probably going on 20 years now. Moved here to Toronto. Been a spoken word artist, a beatboxer, where I've also taught that. So I've been an artist, and then I've also been working behind the scenes, like the stars behind the stars. Because you always need the technical things to make things go on. But I started on stage first, just putting on shows, and from the time I was like 16 till now. So yeah, so it's always been just the either if I wasn't on the stage, I was behind the stage working on something or working with people behind the stage.
And then just a follow-up conversation piece. What inspired you to start eCreativ Consulting?
So what I felt with sorry, I'm needed some water. So what I saw was a
you can go get some. It's if you need some, go ahead.
I'll be all right. Yeah, what I saw is kind of like a gap in the industry. So like, there's so many talented artists that we have within our community. There's so many event organizers that we have, and they have all these amazing ideas. But sometimes you would go to the shows. And if I was the person putting on the show, I found that the talent, even though they were talented, they didn't have their business side of what they were doing set up properly, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have proper pictures. Basically, like, I need your bio, I need your headshot, and they wouldn't have that stuff set up properly. They're sending me to their Facebook page. Oh, grab a picture from here. It's all not pixelated. It's pixelated. Right? Or they buy, like, basically I would have to, or their bio would be where I say, like, basically, why is your bio longer than the performance that you're going to be performing?
Ouch.
Right. So basically, yeah. So then I found myself like sitting there, spending more time cutting these people's bios down and trying to get it right. So that was the side where I basically was like, okay, I want to help these artists out. And then when I'm working with event organizers, then it was just kind of like, okay, why, or like they've hired me as a performer, and then they're like, yo, don't you also do that tech thing? And then basically it's like, yeah, but you hired me as a performer. I'm not here to make sure that the sound sounds good. You should have hired a technician. Right, you should have hired a technician. You should have hired some kind of production manager, or somebody that knows how to run the sound, make sure that the people can be seen on the stage properly, see that the lights are good, so that we can actually see the person performing on stage. Those are the kind of things. So that's why I started eCreativ. It was basically is like, okay, how can I help both those? It basically is like, how can I empower creatives and then basically elevate events?
There you go.
Nice. And then I'm gonna go one more conversation piece on top of that. Can you share the moment you realized you wanted to work in the audio visual production and events area?
It was, so first, as I said, it's always started with the artist, and then actually it was me and my friend were helping a friend's wedding. It was at a friend's wedding, and basically he actually had a studio. He actually had a music studio. So we always assume that because somebody like either the DJ, because he's a DJ or he works in a music studio, that he's actually a technician. Like, but like they are technicians, but they're not. But it's a very specific talent for a very specific job. So I remember basically I was the stage manager for the event, and so I got him because I was like, oh, because he has a recording studio. So I remember being at this event and sitting there with him, and then me and him trying to figure out how all these cables go. And he was like, yo, he goes, man, like he goes, I don't know how to do this. Like basically he goes like, dude, when I go in my studio, everything's already plugged in.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. And then so after that, going through that experience, basically like, you know, we spent some time and we figured it out. After that, I was just kind of like, I'm like, when I go to something, I want to be able to have some kind of knowledge, even if I'm hiring somebody else, that I should know at least more about it, so that I can tell somebody, oh, okay, maybe you didn't do that wrong, or did you check this? Right. So I wanted to have more knowledge on myself. And therefore, so then I ended up going to theater school to basically to learn how to do stuff. And then I went for technical. Then I came to Toronto and went to Humber and learned technical production. But it's all from that, where basically is like, I'm like, where I feel like we would go to our own events, and basically you get distracted by all the technical things that are going wrong, instead of the beautiful talent or speeches or whatever that you're there to enjoy. You don't get to enjoy that because you're like noticing all these other things that basically are distracting you from what you're actually there to really see and enjoy.
Nice. So
Okay,
talking about the talent,
no, you go for it, man.
yeah, you're talking about the talent and the artistry. Just for people to have context, can you kind of, walk us back in the journey? Not too far, but talking about, you as an artist. I know you did some work as a poet with the group from Brother OG, and also some of the international work that you've done, the opportunities that you've had the last couple of years, just so people have a context. You're not just a tech guy, but you as a real artist, you've been there locally and internationally. Just kind of give us a little,
Yeah. So I don't remember how old I was, but who got me into spoken word? Because I was really as a youngster, basically as a young blood, I was basically trying to be a rapper. Everybody out here, we were all trying to be rappers. So the people that I looked up to was LL Cool J, Big Daddy Kane, Slick Rick. Those are the people that I was like looking up to, and I wanted to be a rapper. And so at a certain event that we went to, so Brother OG, who's the CEO of MacPre, Mother Africa's Children First, and he now has an import company and does a lot of, and is very known within Toronto's community as an activist and photographer and historical journalist and photographer. He actually had started an event called Young Poets of the Revolution, and so what caused him to actually start this event Young Poets of the Revolution, was as we were, he was hired at one of the universities to come down as a speaker to talk about, because he was part of the ROM 11. It's like this can, like, all of this can go off in all kinds of different tangents. Just
Google
because,
it. ROM 11, important for y'all to know. Go on.
right?
Go on.
Yeah, like basically because the ROM had an exhibit, a racist exhibit that they had with all the stuff that they stolen from Africa, and then so there was a protest, and Brother OG was one of those 11 people that had gotten arrested during this protest. After his case and whatever, he was actually on a tour, basically talking to people about what had happened, about his experiences that had happened on this particular activist excursion that basically he had. So after the event, we were in the backyard of an elder, and basically we were just like having food and whatever after the event, and everybody just kind of, I'm one of those people that basically it can't get too quiet. If it gets too quiet, all of a sudden I start beatboxing, right? Because basically I have to hear music. I have to hear music. So all of a sudden it was just like, I'm just like so I'm just like, so I'm going off. So because I start beatboxing, another friend of mine, they started rapping, and then somebody else did a poem, and then we're all kind of going back and forth. And then I did one of my poems. So then somebody else started beatboxing for me, and then I did one of my raps. And then this one brother was just like, yo, brother, that's a beautiful poem, right? And I felt very offended that he called my rap a poem, right? And I was just like, oh, poem. Like, for me, poem was something that white people did, and that was Shakespeare and whatever. And I didn't really have any part of that, right? I've come to learn better now. So through that, actually, so I spit my rap, and then spit my rhyme. Another brother said, yo, that's brother, I like your rap. It's revolutionary African poetry. Right. So that's what my rap is. And I was just like, okay, so like I can get down with that. I can get down with revolutionary African poetry. And through there, like literally that was like the beginning of basically Brother OG seeing me, then inviting me here to Toronto with the annual event that he ran for probably about 7 or 8 years here, where he would bring poets from Black poets from all across Canada. And then we all participated in that. Then that led to me starting my own chapter in Ottawa, and then bringing people back and forth. And that just led to me just performing, like literally traveling all over Canada, then linking with the number of poets at a certain point. When I felt like my chapter was kind of dying down, this one other poet, Anthony Bansfield, just came out of the blue, who was already like a national poet, that was a national Black poet that was around, and he was putting together a CD called Word Life. And that had like poets from Black poets from Montreal, Black poets from Toronto, Black poets from Ottawa, and the best of the best. We just did like the 20th anniversary like a few years ago, and putting that together. And then I got to tour again all over again with Canada, with that CD. And then years later, we were all in Trinidad for another conference, for a spoken word conference there. And the person who actually put on the conference in Trinidad didn't realize that everybody that he had brought from Canada were all on that CD. So he had just thought he just hired some poets. And then that turned into, oh my God, like basically you guys are like basically it's like he started like he was like a fanboy.
You're the real guys on the CD.
right. You're all the guys on the CD, right? And basically, and then like that, and then us working with him, helping him really build his spoken word organization in Trinidad, and then we led to Africa. We've gotten the tour, and we started because of actually that trip in Trinidad. We ended up starting an organization called the Northern Griot Network. And then we put on like this big spoken word conference here at the Harbor Front, and we've done like a bundle of different things just nationally across the country. We've done stuff in Ghana. We did a big hip hop fest in Uganda with some connections that we had there. Shout outs to my boy Dwayne Morgan who had linked us with that one. Shout out to Motion, Anthony Bansfield. Yeah, we are all part of the Northern Griot Network. And that's where, and I got a lot more opportunity to basically be a production manager and coordinator, working with those organizations and working with people internationally, not just even as an AV person, where I was just probably just being the tech or being the technical coordinator. With this was basically I was like overseeing multi-international projects with the Northern Griot Network. So we were bringing artists from all over literally we had a global conference where we had poets from the UK, we had poets from America, we had and then poets from all across Canada that for the South by Northeast Griot Summit, which was connected with the Pan Am Games at the time, back in the day. So yeah.
All right. All dope. So I just wanted to give context to people, because sometimes we say we want to work with artists, but people don't know that, hey, we're artists ourselves. Well, not me, but you.
Yeah.
Right? I think that makes a difference in terms of being able to identify with, both the successes, the challenges, and perspectives of artists. So I'm going to kick it to my man, Dr. Vibe, and I'll come back with some more questions.
All right. Just want to catch up on the comments plane. The food plane has hello Dr. Vibes and guest DS here, and also says loves Trinidadians, love me some roti, and the people are so nice. I want you to check out. You should check out the food plane on Instagram. Make some serious food, man. He is a serious guy, cook, very, very serious. I'll do this first. Question for you, Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
What are the most overlooked aspects of technical event production that can make or break an event?
The things that can make or break an event, because usually when people are putting their budget together, it's the last thing they think about. Right? It's like, oh, let's get the venue, okay, let's get the DJ, where's it? And then they don't realize how important it is until they're in the moment. Right. So like they're dealing with the advertising and they're dealing with okay, let me get the artist and let me do this. And then the technical stuff is usually like it's always like a last afterthought. It's a last afterthought. And then by the time when you start talking to people and then they start telling them what the cost is, and also too the longer you take to plan that stuff, the more it's going to cost you, because now you're doing it in a rush. Right. But if you had it, so when you were sitting down and planning out your event, the earlier you put those things into the budget, the earlier that you put those things in the budget and you contact the people, you're able to actually either get a discount, or at least it won't cost you as much as it is basically of you basically trying like 2 weeks before the event or a week before the event to be like, oh, let me call up, oh, I need somebody to run the sound or whatever. Or most people think the DJ can run the sound. There's a lot of people that basically think that. Now, they're not saying that there's not DJs that aren't technicians, but the majority of them are DJs. That's what they play music. They're not technicians. So usually they feel because they contacted the DJ, the guy who played the music, oh, we got that covered. And then when the DJ shows up just to play the music, they're like, oh, don't you have mics? Don't you have speakers?
Oh, wow.
Like, how come I can't? How come I don't? I thought that came because the DJ told them $500. Basically, they're like, oh, but I thought that $500 covered that. No, we never have that. You never had that conversation.
Wow.
You had the conversation with them to basically be the DJ.
Yeah. So the food plane says so true in preparing for the what ifs. Yeah. Preparing for the what ifs. I just want to add that whenever I have the opportunity to share in front of an audience, and it's pre-booked, I always show up half an hour early.
Yeah.
When I arrive at the place, there are 2 people I need to meet before anybody else. even more importantly, I actually meet the audio visual person first.
Yep.
Why? Because they're responsible for me looking good and
Mhm.
sounding good.
Love
Yep.
that. Love that.
And
Right.
the other person I will meet is the event organizer, but that person who's looking good and sounding good. And these are little takes from Dr. Vibe's journey. I want to, and if the place isn't filled with people yet, I will go around and sit in different places in the audience to see the vantage point.
Mm, good point. Good point.
Especially sitting in the last row. And sometimes if it's empty, I will sit in the last row and have the AV person go up and have a microphone and talk.
Right. So and there's and even so me as a production manager, there's also I would also say sometimes is basically try and get the majority if the place is not full, try and get the majority of people to come up front. Right. So I usually always say to whoever the host is or the moderator of the event or the MC of the event, it was just like get people to come up. So then when those people who are coming late, right? Because I look at the show from a holistic standpoint, not just not people just come into the space, like because I also look at it now because I know it coming from a performer standpoint. I'm also looking at when somebody takes pictures or does that now, because what you're getting is that you could have 100 people or 200 people in the space, but if the space is too big and everybody's scattered, it could look like nobody's there. Right. So what you want is that you want it from also too, because these same pictures, that the documentation of your event. So when you have people, you want to get everybody closer. So then when you take a picture, it actually it actually looks like, okay, oh wow, there's a lot of people there. Because those same pictures, that documentation is what actually is going to also help you when you go to do so. Because one of the things I also work with artists is when they go to do they need the support material for when they go to do grants or you're trying to get sponsors, right? Because most people are like they'll name drop, but name dropping, actually most sponsors don't care about the name dropping. What they actually do care is basically how many people are going to be impacted.
The reach,
right? So if I take my money out of my pocket and I give to you, how many people are going to be impacted, right? So if you have a picture and where the audience looks all scattered, basically it's just like, well, it doesn't look like a lot of people were impacted by this, right? And basically they say like a picture says 1,000 words, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you want, like, so there's, and because again, the whole thing of basically, and even the person who was taking that picture, right? If you don't have a professional photographer, even that, like, people don't think it's a last minute thought. Oh, maybe I should get a photographer for this. It's always the AV is a last thought. The photographer is a last thought. The videographer is a last thought. It's always a last thought. And then you're trying to beg somebody a favor. You're trying to beg somebody a favor to
so
please.
Eddie, just asking on that point, we talked about, from the artist perspective now, young artists who need to put their package together. So can you kind of talk about what that looks like and how do you support folks who want to put their EQJ or their package together as an artist? Like, what should they think about, and how can you support in that journey?
So everything that I'm doing now is something that I actually kind of went through, where I realized the first time I put on my own event, one of the things I realized that as an artist was that, so because I worked in AV, I was like, okay, so I have a videographer there. But what happened was that my event finished and my videographer was packing up his equipment. And then what I had was like a lineup of people that was coming up to me and telling me all these amazing testimonials. Oh my God, this is the best thing ever. All this, And my camera guy was nowhere to be seen because he was packing up the equipment because it was the end of the event. right? It was the end of the event, not realizing that this is actually probably more so than me performing on stage and him filming that the most important part of the event was these people who were actually at the show coming up and telling me how great this show was. And so for young artists, I would always say, basically, take the time, invest in yourself, and basically, so even if you're just doing a small show, have somebody follow you for the day that you have an event that you're performing in. Just have them follow you for a few hours or for the day, and basically take pictures and take video of you. And when you get off that stage, the moment you get off that stage, because people are going to come up to you. If you did your job properly as an artist and a performer, people are going to come up to you, or as a speaker, so not just performers, but even if you're a public speaker, make sure that you have the person standing close by, so that when those audience members or those people come up to you and they start talking to you, that somebody is there documenting what they're saying to you, because this is raw. Basically, it's from the heart, and it's from these people directly. You can't like pay people to actually give you this raw emotional and basically like, oh my God, you were amazing, you touched me, you did this, you did that. And because that actually is the gold. That's the goal that actually is going to, when you actually go to the support material that you actually need, that when you go to somebody who has a bigger bag to basically support your whatever your dream is, or your event, or whatever the concept is that you have, those are the things that you need for your support material to basically help you to basically get more money to continue doing the thing that you do.
Okay, people, if you're not watching this live or you're not watching the replay, Eddy's dropping knowledge bombs. He's dropping knowledge bombs, and I'm going to add just a little bit of some seasoning on the hot roti he's putting down right now. But the food
shots. Go on.
Yes, the food plane says, well said. I used to help put up events for certain celebrities in places like Madison Square Garden, Nassau Coliseum, and so many others. So I hear what he's saying. He then says black curtains, a laugh emoji, and he says, yes, exactly, and good advice. And he also says good advice. One of the things I will say with people, document yourself, even to the point, as Eddy said, if you have a session to do that day, document yourself that day. You want to go even further? Document yourself getting the presentation ready. How many people do that?
Right.
How many people
officially it's called BTS, behind the scenes?
BTS, and I don't do that enough. And I know I have a session coming up for Mr. Lawrence in the next few weeks. I'm going to start doing BTS on that for people to show the behind. And my major mentor has always pounded that in my head, that show that BTS, because a lot of people don't show that. And people say, oh, it's got to be perfect. You want to show that you're not perfect. You want to take the people along the journey.
It's more personable. They love it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that eCreativ, like, we will sit with you and plan those kind of things out for those. Basically, you know, we'll first figure out what your budget is, and then sit with you and go, okay, these are the days, and we'll put a production schedule and the logistics and figure it out. So, because some people might actually already have material that they need to organize and put together for their electronic press kits, or other people are basically they don't have anything, and these are the things that we need to go, okay, let's sit down. All right, this is when you're performing. Let's come. We'll come and basically shoot that for you, right? Or get some audio for you, or we'll do a photo shoot, right? And then put those things together, because what you want is that when usually the first question that most people ask you after you get off stage is, when's your next event? That's usually the first question they're asking you. When's your next event? So if this person, because usually if this person is actually ready to hire you on the spot because they loved what you did, because you were so amazing on stage, right? As a speaker, as a performer, you just knocked it out the box, and you're like, yo, and this person is like, So the thing is, are you ready? Are you business ready for the business? So you did the show.
I gotta shut up because I want to just dump on and add on to what you're saying, but I'm gonna save it for Christopher Singh because we could go on for 4 hours here, but we got time. We gotta lay. We may need a part 2.
Are you business ready? And
here's a tip. Here's a business ready tip. Do you have your stuff on your phone in a folder?
Yep.
Why do I say that? Like Eddie just said, you just finished a show. Person wants to find out more about you. You should have it on this. Easy access.
Right?
Easy access. Have a folder on your phone showing this is what I do, or this is the next stops I have, or this bang, bang, bang.
So like whether it could be as simple as a Google Drive, a folder on your Google Drive, right? From Google Drive, you send them a link. And then in that folder has your photos. You want a 300 DPI set of photos, right? It has a PDF of your bio, right? That's ready to go, right? And in the bio it has a couple of links from either your YouTube channel that basically has some videos of you either speaking or whatever.
Sizzle reels. Also has a sizzle reel.
Yeah, right. So and that's it's a simple, literally it's. Now I'm saying it's as simple as that, but sometimes and that's where I will come in if you need help because you're like, yo, I don't even know where to start with all of that, right? Like, yeah, I have Google Drive, I've used it in school, I've used, but how do I get started? That's where eCreativ comes in. It was basically to sit with you and basically take you through the process.
Eddie, I have a quick conversation before you. Do you have people that do deck creation?
Yes, and we also do that too. Yes, but
that's another big thing. And I know many people out there, you use Canva, but you know what? There have someone who's good at making your presentations look a level above what you do in Canva. Deck designers are a hot commodity.
Because that's something actually when I was working for the AV companies, we would actually one of my jobs actually was so when like the speakers and the doctors and all these different people would come in, we would go through their deck and fix it to make sure that it looked good on the big screen.
That's another good thing because visually it doesn't always look the same.
Yeah, it doesn't always look the same. So we'd have to sit there and sometimes like basically like literally all the job is just basically as the speakers come in, we sit there and go through their whole deck. And then basically it's like sometimes because the font is not the font changed or the pictures moved. So when you actually see it on the screen, it's actually like the picture goes up and all these different things. So we'd have to go through, fix everything, and then we would have, and we'd also make sure that we have backup so that if one computer for whatever reason went down, we always had backup. Right? So that's the line or experience that I come from in dealing with that. So now when people, like as I said, like the names have changed. But for me, it's all digital media, right? But even so whether it's online or it's in a conference room or it's a trade show or whatever it is. To me, it's all the work is still the same. The work is still the same. You want basically your visuals to look good. You want you to look good. The lights on you to look good. You want your audio to sound high quality audio coming through. You don't want no feedback in your space. Right, you want everything that basically I always tell people that if you want to know if the sound was good, is that you didn't notice that there was any mistake. Is when everybody turns. The worst thing I used to hate as a technician was seeing something go wrong and then see the whole room turn back and look at me at the back of the room. That was my big. Where's
the feedback coming from, Mr.
Right, it was like right.
Why
I'm just like
feeding back.
if they went through the whole event, if the audience went through the whole event and basically it was just like, oh, everything was just nice and clear and they never looked in the back of the room, I'm just like, I did a good job. I did a good job. or basically, or when I would do when I first got into AV, I would actually be I was the guy that basically, so like, you know, when the politicians and them would do the press conferences, I was the guy that would do the press conferences. And my biggest joy for me was at the end of the night when I come home in the evening and I'm watching the news on at night, and he's like, yo, that's my audio that they listen to. Everybody listening to upon the TV. That's my audio. That's my audio.
We have an election coming up, so they might be calling on you again.
All right. I just want to catch up on comments. The food plane says, I mean the black curtains to cover the empty seats. That's why I said black curtains. Eddie was talking about if it's for a small crowd, bring them closer for that effect that gives. Yaz Miracle, thank you for chiming in. Make sure your Google folder is accessible and doesn't need authorization.
Big thing. Big thing.
And Food Plane has laugh emojis, laughing along with Eddie, enjoying the conversation. This is good. This is really good.
Yes.
When time's flown. We haven't gotten anything yet.
Time's flown. So Eddie, I mean, a lot of things that we talk about, you know, so far it's kind of been like in-person events. How do you support or help people who are doing online events, you know, even podcasts like this, in terms of the tech piece behind the scene? And I know Dr. Vibe has his people in the back for sure, but what role would you play when it comes to the technical support of, you know, a podcast or a YouTube show or whatever it is, even an online conference? Like what kind of work would eCreativ do? How would you support?
So I would say it's more like it's the same that you would kind of do with the live. So it's virtual event virtual event management. So you meet with the client, you go through who's your target audience, what your branding is, setting up. If you look at this stream right now, like you see that there's backgrounds, like you see there's the names of who's speaking. So all those, the lower thirds and all those different things, we would sit with you, get all those things set up, make sure, you know, we have to get the bio of the art of who the guest is, all those different things. And then so if you're doing a long-term podcast, I would usually always say do batch recording, where basically you pick a day, because everybody's busy. People usually have very busy schedules. So usually I would always recommend to basically do batch recording. And what batch recording is that you would pick one day where you would do 2 or 3 shows, right? And you record everything in that day, and then you can take your time and distribute the show as needed, right? Because what you want is consistency. A lot of people, there's a thing called pod fade, like where basically and I don't want to get too technical, but there's a thing where basically they start off, I want to do a podcast, and everybody gets really excited, but then there's this thing called life that happens to you. And then all of a sudden you start off really great and you got 2 or 3 shows, and then all of a sudden it just starts to fade because you've gotten busy. So that's why, one of the things is basically to be the support, for us to be the support for the people who want to do this, and to have a long-term plan of how you can be consistent so that you can really be successful in what you're trying to accomplish.
You know, I don't want to get too much deeper, because I know at the top out there, Paul Sadat has to jump. I'm almost thinking we need a part 2 already. We're just scratching the surface. We are just scratching the surface. And I agree with people saying, you know, consistency is huge.
Yeah.
Consistency and resiliency. Consistency and resiliency is huge. Yeah. Yaz Miracle says, peace and give thanks for this wonderful insight. Please provide any wisdom for outdoor sound healing retreat spaces where minimal tech is used. Good question.
Sorry, what?
Put it up again. Peace and give thanks for this wonderful insight. Please provide any further wisdom for outdoor sound healing retreat spaces where minimal tech is used. So maybe Yaz saying, what sort of tech suggestions would you recommend to make an outdoor sound healing event?
Yeah.
What sort of that sort of space technically wise, what do organizers need to know?
So one is generator. You need power, because you're in an outdoor space. You also want to make sure that there's so I was actually it wasn't a retreat event that I was doing, but the event was actually down in Regent Park, and then we also did it in Brampton. And you so depending on where your retreat is, you have to actually think about the neighbors of the surrounding area, right? So some of the things that so that's why it's also you really want to actually have sit and discuss, because you also need permits. You need permits for anything that's being done outdoor, if it's being done in a public space. So you need permits. So sometimes, and those permits, the permits that the city has, or wherever the retreat is, or the hotel or whatever, they can make it very complicated for some reason, way more complicated than it actually needs to be. So sometimes you just need that help just to go through just the paperwork of figuring out, because they want to know, do you have a backup plan? Sometimes they want permits for everything. If you're putting down a tent or whatever, all these different there's all these different layers to it. And for you would just be like, yo, I just want 2 speakers and a mic, right? For you, just like, I just want 2 speakers and a mic. I just want, right? So, but even that, like, basically, so are you next to the beach? There's all these different things that you kind of have to look at, because basically you have to look at, is it going to rain, right? Are you, how, if it does start raining, you have electronic stuff out in the weather. Is that protected? How is that being protected? Right. There's a lot of things that you have to kind of like think about and look at. And because you also want to look at the safety of your clients and your guests, right? So you don't want to put your guests in a situation where basically now a speaker is fell down. Do you have sandbags for your speakers? Because it has to be higher so that you can get the sounds in. And also, because it's outside, it also means that how big do your speakers need to be, because also sound actually needs something to bounce off of. Right.
All
so
right. Preach.
Part two.
Right.
Part two.
There you go.
And I'm trying not to be too technical.
No. Be it, because the thing is, Eddie, when it comes to the technical aspect, many event people will just see the forests, but you see the trees in the forests.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that's why you provide the added value, the investment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
To make it look.
And then
go ahead, Paul.
I'll say one thing that I know that both Dr. Vibe and yourself, Eddie, because I've worked with you. One of the things that people have a tendency to kind of underestimate or overlook is sound. How important is it to actually have a good sound? Because a lot of people look at the visuals, hey, you're on podcasts now or whatever. How important is sound when it comes to
your sound? Is probably people will probably overlook a grainy video, but if it sounds crappy, they're not going to take the time to listen to it. Yes. They are not going to take the time to listen to it. So it's rather, because the thing is, even with visuals, you could take a picture and put over it. You could do a lot of the things, but if it's all scratchy and basically it's just like, people are not going to, basically that for whatever reason, our hearing is the one sense that basically we are more sensitive about anything else. So that's why sound on any type of video, or the event or whatever it is, that's because because you can always listen to something as long as it's nice and clear. You can always listen to it, right? That's the whole reason why even podcasts are. You can drive and listen. You can, you could. There's all these different things of basically of how you listening. You could fall asleep and listen. There's all these different things, but it has to be nice and clear. Anything that's irritating, like basically that doesn't come across clear, those are the things that are going to irritate people, where even if you could have been telling the most, you can giving the cure for cancer, and it could be the most important thing in the world, but if the sound doesn't sound right, nobody's listening. Nobody's listening. And you'd be like, I told them how they could make $1 million in 2 seconds. Nobody heard it because the sound wasn't good.
And I'll just add on, after doing 5,000 conversations, a lot of them online, that people will tolerate bad video. They will not tolerate bad video. And we always have to look, people got to think when you're creating content, especially if it's audio visual, you got to think global. And some places still in the world don't have good internet access.
Yeah.
It takes less bandwidth to listen to something audio than it does video.
Good point.
Right. So if they can't see a video, at least they have the option of it to still listen to it on audio. And I was just chatting with someone in the last hour. If you look at the definition of a podcast, it's audio, not video. What we're doing right now, many people call a podcast. Its truest sense, it is not a podcast.
Yeah.
So
it's a video broadcast.
Yeah.
The term pod was actually an old audio equipment.
Exactly.
Right.
So frequency of promotion says you're learning from a master at his craft. Also, see the trees in the forest, hashtag bars. See the tree in the forest, hashtag bars. And then, Eddie, you are hired. Oh, frequency says
hey, listen, I want to push something. Yas Miracle, don't know where you're at, but as we're talking about sound, and you're talking about sound healing events, we'd love to connect with you or connect you if you're in the vicinity. But yeah, we definitely need a sound healing event just to talk about the importance of sound.
Absolutely. We've hit the top of the hour already. So, and I know Sadat probably has to jump. So, Eddie, first of all, want to thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Second of all, are you available for part 2? Because there's still things I want to ask of you.
I'm always available. Because
there's a whole second round, and there's things I want to bring out conversation wise. So I want to know if you're available for a part 2 sooner rather than later.
Yes, yeah. Just let me know the day, and I'll make sure my schedule is clear.
All right.
So I really appreciate you guys for having me on.
No problem. Any final words you have to share with our family today?
I'm just basically, if you need an event tech, you need some help. Basically, trying to figure out. Yeah, you don't know where to start. Like, basically, contact me. My email is just in the bottom there. My phone number is there. Call, and then I'll get back to you, and then we can sit down and have a conversation, and we can figure out what your next project is. Don't let the tech basically hold you back. And you need it for a successful plan. Yeah, don't let, so as I said, I'm here to help artists basically figure out the business side and the business admin of what they're doing. I'm here to work with event organizers to basically make their event go smoothly, right? Like, so, because whatever the idea is, I will sit with you, have a conversation, really figure out what you need and what kind of impact you're trying to make, and then we go forward. Basically, it's like, just think of me as your partner in this, into making beautiful events and creating amazing things.
All right. His contact information is there on the screen. We're also going to say it verbally, and on the platforms, those are the platforms you're watching that I control. It's there. It's eCreativ Consulting, and that's created with no E. eCreativ Consulting at gmail.com. Call or text 647-712-3339. Frequency Event Promotion says, working on a show, Star Search, Spotlight, Toronto talent, would love to connect Eddie. Well, there you go.
There we go.
And then to my sister Inyasha.
Yeah, Yas Miracle says, please call. Asha says, Anyashe, link up about sound healing events. There we go.
Oh, beautiful.
There we go. We'd like to say thank you for giving the most valuable thing in your life, your time, to share with us today. And as always, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history, but try to do both and make it better. Ashe, my brother.
I say bless.
All right. All right. There we go, sir.
All right. Another one down or up.
I like that.
Yeah.
Another one down, another one up. Yes, that's a good thing. All right. Any final words before we call it a conversation?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So giving thanks to Eddy. Love the conversation. And definitely for those who are out there who are going to be doing a lot of events. In particular, we know that wedding season's coming. Again, shout out for the Black marriage. But other events that you're doing. Sound, AV, as an event coordinator, it's important. Right. And I'm even thinking about some of the things that I'm doing and I have coming up, making sure that, it looks, sounds good, not being stressed over the tech, because I often try to do all of that. Host, the tech.
Delegate, man. Delegate.
Delegation. So,
all right.
Yeah, I want to, give it out to my co-host, Dr. Vibe, Dr. Kofi Morris couldn't be here today, but, shout out to our brother. And yeah, definitely, I learned a lot today.
Excellent. So a few final things. If you want to get a hold of Kofi, Sadat, the gentleman who's right beside me with a wonderful, beautiful hair, man. There's the email address. There's the Instagram. There's the YouTube. There's the Facebook, and also Naza community. Kofi Morris. Email, Instagram, 2 Instagram addresses, by the way. Also, if you want to get a hold of the drvibeshow.com, YouTube and Facebook, The Dr. Vibe Show, Instagram at the drvibeshow.com, X/Twitter at drvibeshow, email address dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. You can watch replays of this epic conversation on The Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Also, my website, and also Paul Osbourne Facebook, and also there's not enough space. And that's the community's YouTube channel.
There you go.
All right. And also subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. Hit the notification button. Like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms, dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. And finally, it has content on it. Black Men Can Talk Discord group. Email me at dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. As always, someone else has something they want to say? There we go. Yaz Miracle. Peace and one love. Grateful for the reasoning. Received. As always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions. Aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And also, if you're not making money, make history. Try to do both and make it better. Be well. Keep the faith. God bless. Peace, well. Keep the faith. Walk good. We'll chat soon. Peace.
Time that our parents, they're like, I have nothing to teach you. I don't know nothing.
My dad's at that point now. It says,
That's my point.
But I'm saying, no, Dad, you got lots more to give. You know how cold it is when these two brothers in their yard.
You know that. You know that. You don't know that, bro. You know
No
that.
joke.
I know we all have these things, but you know what? My go-to is this thing.
Wow.
Black book is in the black.
Black book.
Men Talk, Black Book.